So today I'm going to talk about this price determination using what if analysis. So this is something similar to what we discussed a couple of days back, but I'll talk about one of the projects that I worked on in the past. But we do use the same goal seek feature under the what if analysis tab in Excel. Okay. So this was the situation that that we are facing. Just assume. So there is a transporter owning the following fleet. Okay, so by fleet I mean a collection of vehicles. Okay, so there are three types of vehicles. So one is this Ashok Leyland 1616 IL, then there is this Ashok Leyland 3116 IL, and there's the Tata LPT 3718. So the transporter is owning 3 trucks of the first type, 2 trucks of the second type, and 1 truck of the third type. So the difference between these 3 trucks is mainly in terms of the tonnage. So this has a capacity of 16 tons, this has around 22 tons, and this the capacity of 27 tons. Okay, so given that the transporter is owning a fleet of such and such trucks, he will incur a cost to maintain the fleet based on the usage and based on the maintenance and everything. He will incur certain cost. Okay, so these will be the costs involved in maintaining the fleet. So that there will be some fixed costs and there will be some variable costs. So fixed costs, I mean, so the cost of the vehicle, and after he buys the vehicle, he might have to pay some EMI every month. And then there's a salary for the driver, cleaner, and then insurance premium. He might have an so most of these lorries, if you see, they will have an all India permit. So that is one of the fixed costs. And then there's the trailer fabrication. So if you see this picture, when you buy the truck, what you actually buy is the cabin and the chassis. So whatever comes behind it, this part or here, if you see this part, so that is what we call as the trailer. And so this is made out of the sheet metal, and this is separately fabricated by the bus body building companies. So this fabrication cost comes as extra. And then there'll be some office costs or administration costs as well, to run the office, to pay the staff and stuff like that. So these will be the fixed costs. And apart from that, there are some variable costs which varies based on the truck usage. So for example, fuel, cost of the tire change, oil change. If you want to put the new battery, then that might cost extra. Spare parts which might have to be replaced or serviced. So these will be the variable costs. So just see this. The transporter owns a fleet of, let's say, V vehicles, and to run this fleet of V vehicles, he incurs a cost of C rupees per month. Okay, and then he wishes to have a margin of M% and earn rupees I income per month. Okay, so given that this is the situation he is facing, how much should they charge a customer to carry 1 ton of goods over D kilometers? So for example, in this project, what actually happened was, I was actually consulting for a company which manufactures agro-based products. So they manufacture sunflower oil, basmati rice, that sort of stuff. And to transport these products from the factory to the retail stores, or the regional depots, they outsource their transportation basically. So they don't own their vehicles, they outsource the transportation to some kind of an agency, and these agencies are the fleet owners that I'm talking about. So those agencies will own all these trucks. Okay, and my client would have to go and negotiate with these companies, with these transportation agencies, and the way those transportation agency work is based on this cost. So we call this as a total cost of ownership. So that total cost of ownership involves these fixed and variable components. And based on these cost components, given that there is a particular fleet size and a margin and an income that I wish to earn every month, they will charge, these transportation agencies will charge their customers. Okay, so how do we solve this problem? I'll just show you an Excel sheet. Okay, so here I've put the vehicle name basically. So there we have 3 types of vehicles, and like I told you, each vehicle has a different capacity. So this has 16 tons, 22.5 tons, this has 27.5 tons. Okay, And then let us say there are 3 vehicles of the first type, 2 vehicles of the second type, 1 vehicle of the third type, and so this makes up a total of 6 vehicles. Okay, and I have to serve a distance of, let's say, 950 kilometers. So typically, if you see, I think the distance between 2 cities such as Coimbatore and Hyderabad will be around this distance, so approximately 950 kilometers. Okay, and if the distance is 950 kilometers, then how much time will be taken per trip? So that is what I have put here. If you see the formula, this basically what I'm doing is 950 I'm dividing by 300. Okay, so what is this 300? This is nothing but the average distance I am estimating to cover in 1 day. Okay, so this kind of seems to be a bit low, but this is how the Indian logistics industry works today. So typical trucking distances for 1 day will be around this range, 300 kilometers per day. Because see, first of all, the trucks are very slow. If you have observed on the highways, you might see that rarely the trucks cross 50 kilometers per hour. They are very slow, and they might have to stop so many times in the middle checkposts and all that. And there are several restrictions also. So it's like you cannot enter the city after 10 a.m. So before that you have to enter, and before that you have to cross the city, otherwise you cannot enter the city. So there are several restrictions. So the average trucking distance per day I have taken to be 300 kilometers. So to travel this 950 kilometers, how many days I'll take? I'll take 950 by 300 days. And apart from that, I'm adding 2 days for allowance for a round trip. Okay, so what is this? The first day, the one that I've added here, is basically after I reach my destination, I have to I have to unload all my load or unload my goods from the vehicle. And this loading or unloading process itself takes a huge amount of time. So there are so many formalities to be completed, paperwork to be done, and all that will take 1 day. And after that job is done, I might have to wait 1 more day to get my next load. So that might not be readily available. I have to wait 1 more day to get my next load. So totally, I'm saying, for 1 round trip, for traveling, it will take this 950 by 300, these many days, and 1 day for completing all the formalities, unloading formalities or loading formalities, paperwork, all those things, and 1 day to get the next load. So that is what I'm assuming here, 5 days per round trip. Okay, and so for 5 days per trip, and then in this way I'm saying number of trips per month is 6. So that is nothing but, if I am working for, let's say, 30 days every month, and if each trip takes 5 days, then 30 by 5. So I'm making 6 trips per month. Okay, and what is the total load that I will carry for these T number of trips, or 6 trips? So that I put it like this. So each vehicle has a capacity of 16 tons. So I have 3 vehicles. So that is 16 into 3 is the vehicle total vehicle capacity in terms of tonnage. And in each trip I am able to carry this amount of capacity in my 3 vehicles. So for 6 trips I will carry 16 into 3 into 6. So that is the number that you see here. So I have rounded off these numbers basically. And similarly for the other types of vehicles as well. So 22.5 tons per vehicle, I have 2 vehicles, and each vehicle does 6 trips. So this is the total tonnage that I will carry during that month. Okay, and based on this, what I have to do is I have to estimate this number. So whatever I have highlighted here, this is the charge per ton which the transportation agency charges its customer, and this is what we have to estimate. Okay, I will come to this in a moment. Okay, now let's say I have some expenses incurred. So we talked about the costs involved, right? So fixed costs and variable costs. So based on all these things, I'm estimating to maintain a fleet of 3 trucks of this type, I will incur 3 lakh rupees per month. To maintain a fleet of 2 trucks of the 22.5 tons, I will incur 2,80,000 rupees per month. To maintain 1 truck of this 27.5 ton capacity, I will incur 2,75,000 rupees per month. So I've just filled in these assumptions here. So in reality, what I would actually do is I will find out all these costs and then make the accurate estimate of these expenses. Okay, and then income expected. So here, if you see this expenses per month is nothing but the sum of these 3 cells what I have put here, and over this expenses I wish to have a margin of 20%, let's say. Okay, so my desired monthly income will be 20% over and above my expenses. So that is 1 plus 20% into this expenses. So I wish to earn a monthly income of 10,26,000 rupees. Okay, and how do I allocate this 10,27,000 rupees over my 3 types of assets? So what I've basically done here is, you see the formula. So so I'm just doing a weighted average sort of thing. So 3 trucks of the first type out of 6. So 50% of this income I will expect to come from this first type. So that is what 3 by 6 into the total desired monthly income. So that is what I'm getting as 5,13,000. And similarly for this one, estimated as 2 by 6 into 10,26,000. And similarly for the remaining type, 1 by 6 into 10,26,000. So this is how I am splitting my total desired monthly income. I am just allocating it across my 3 different types of vehicles. Okay, and then we have here something called as an income estimated. Okay, now I will talk about the goal seek part that we discussed the other day. So that day what we did was, if you remember, we clicked on this data tab here, and then we have something called as what if analysis. We click here and we go to this goal seek option. Okay, and then here if you see, we had 3 parameters. So first one is called as set cell. So that is what I put here. Set cell is basically income estimated. Okay, and then there is something called as to value. To value is income expected. So what are we trying to do here? There is something called as an expected income, and there's something called as an estimated income. Okay, so these 2, expected income and the estimated income, should match. Okay, estimated income, how I'm calculating is total load carried for all the 3 trips, that is in terms of tons, and how much I am charging per ton. So the rupees per ton into total number of tons is the income estimated. So that is the formula that I've used here in these cells. Okay, and this estimated income and this expected income should be equal. Okay, so that is why if you see here what we'll do is, the set cell will be this estimated income, to value will be expected income. So estimated income has to be equal to the expected income. How do we do that? By changing this cell, the charge per ton. So what ideally, this is something like, what is the charge per ton which I should quote for my customers, so that my expected income and the estimated income should match. Any doubts here until now?
So what is the difference between estimated income and expected income? So I think
so expected income is nothing but, I'm just here if you see this total expected income, it's 10,26,000. I'm just putting a 20% margin over my expenses. So this I can change to anything. Let's say I need a margin of let's say 30%, then this will become 11 lakhs. So this is something according to my wish, but this is coming from this expenses estimated. So this I will estimate, right? So based on the fixed and variable cost, I will have some kind of an expenses for running each type of vehicle, and over and above these expenses I am putting some margin for which I get some desired monthly income. So let's say I want to earn this is purely based on how much I want to earn per month. Okay, so here I'm having a margin of 30%. Let's say I'm feeling this is too high. Okay, I can live with a little less income, so I will change to 25%. So this is 10,68,000. Let's say this is okay for me now. Okay, now we come to this expected income and estimated income. Expected income is nothing but, I'm just splitting this total desired income across my 3 types of vehicles. So how am I doing that? By using this weighted average. So 3 vehicles of the first type out of 6 vehicles. So 50% of the vehicles are the first type. So my first type should help me earn 50% of my income, of the total income. So that is what I have done. This 3 by 6 into 10,68,000. Is this part clear? How I am calculating the expected income?
Yes.
So now we come to this estimated income. So estimated income is nothing but how much do I earn, or how much will I earn based on the amount that I'm charging for my customer. So how do I actually get my money? By charging customers for transporting their goods, right? So now the question boils down to how much money should I charge my customers. So how I'm calculating that is, I'm charging my customers on a per ton basis. So if I'm transporting 1 ton of goods across a particular distance, then what is the charge that I should make for that? That multiplied by the total load carried. This is in terms of tons. So I am charging 1,800 rupees per ton for 279 tons. I will get an income of 5,13,000. So similarly for the other types as well. So 261 tons I am carrying during that month, and per ton if I am charging 1,300 rupees, the total amount that I will get as income from the second vehicle is 1,300 into 261. Is this part clear?
Yeah.
So this is the expected and the estimated income. Okay. Now basically what we have to do is we have to match this expected income and the estimated income, and the variable that we have to change is basically the charge per ton. So now the question is, how much should I charge my customer so that my estimated income is equal to the expected income? And that is where we use this goal seek function. So you click on goal seek, and what we basically do is the set cell, this estimated income to value should be equal to the expected income, and the expenses incurred should be, charge should be the variable that we should change. So I'm matching my expected income and the estimated income by changing. So this is what we call, so this is the actually what if part. So what if my charge is 1,800 rupees, will my expected and the estimated income match? So if my charge is 2,000 rupees, will my expected and estimated income is matching? So that is how we use this goal seek function here. Okay. Now I will tell you the catch here. Okay. If you see the second parameter in this goal seek function, for the first and third parameters, you can choose the actual cell by which you have changed the parameter. So for example, set cell, I can select this particular thing. Okay. And I have to change this cell 1,840. Okay. But to value, this has to be this expected income, and here I do not have the provision to change the cell. Okay, but I have to make this as a dynamic selection. Any ideas as to how we can do this?
Can we type in formulas?
Nope. So it's I don't think it even allows you to select anything. Any other ideas? It's actually very simple. So it's a very simple workaround. Okay, so I'll tell you what I did. So here you have something called as developer, right? So I am sure you will be familiar with this. So you go to this developer, and you have something called as macros. You click on this, and you just click. So basically it's created 3 macros. If you see here, macro 1, macro 2, macro 3, and you see these buttons over here. Each button is corresponding to one particular macro. Okay, and what this basically looks like is this. This is step into. So this is what those 3 macros look like. So this is the macro name of the macro. Macro 1, macro 2, macro 3. Okay, and this is basically where you declare the macros. I'm saying sub macro 1, and with worksheets sheet 2. So we see the Excel. So the name of the sheet is sheet 2. So we are just specifying which sheet should the macro be used in. So that is what we have here. And then this is the syntax basically. So range E14. So that is nothing but this particular thing. E14 is this one, the set cell parameter that we have, right? E14, that is what you specify here. Range E14, goal seek. Goal is the to value. So what you have here, E12. So that is the to value, what we have specified as E12 value parameter. Changing cell, I think the name is self-explanatory. Changing cell is this charge per ton, or the E9. So E9. So this is for the macro 1. Similarly for the other two types of trucks as well. So for this one, the set cell will be E14, F14, to value will be F12, and changing cell will be F9. So that is what you see here, F14, F12, F9. And similarly for the macro 3, you have G. So G14, G12, G9. So that is what you have, G14, G12, G9. Okay. So when I run this macro, what will basically happen is it will, for different, so it will basically try different values in these three cells. So when I run the macro 1, it will try different values in these cells and select that value for which this expected income and estimated income is coming as same. Similarly, when I run the macro 2, it will change different values here. So here, if you see this particular area, I have not put in any formula and it has so many decimals. So how did this come? This is coming because of that macro. It is basically trying out so many different values here so that this expected income and the estimated income matches. Similarly for the macro 3 as well. So how do I operationalize these macros? I have done it using some button. So basically what will happen is when I click this button, let's close this. So when I click this button, this expected and the estimated income will be same. And you see this value has changed. Now similarly, you see here, this value is showing as 1308. And right now these two values are not matching. Okay, but when I click this button, see this has changed and these two values are matching. Similarly, see here, this is reading as 1070. These two things are different. But when I click here, both the things are equal and this has changed. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is when I click this button, that goal seek function or the goal seek feature should run in the background, for which this value should be changed and these two numbers should be equal. Okay, so how do we bring this button? What we do is you click on the same developer option. You have something called as insert. Okay, and under this you have this form controls, and then this is the option for the button. So you just click this button and you just put this thing, and you can just assign a particular macro. So you want to assign macro 1 or macro 2 or macro 3, whichever you want. You can just click this and you click OK. So you get this. Okay, so for example, now let's say I want to do it for a new distance. So let's say my distance is 1500 kilometers. Okay, and now if you see here, these two values won't be the same. So now again we have to adjust this charge per ton so that expected income and the estimated income matches. Okay, so I'll just click on this button 4. See, now it has changed and these two values match. Similarly for these two things as well. Yeah, any questions?
No questions from my side.
Okay, so that's what I had for today.
Hey, one nice session. One quick check if we can do.
Yeah.
Can we see if the first case AL1616, if we can change the expenses incurred from 3 lakh to some 30 lakhs, and just want to see how it works. Okay, so that is expected. And yeah, if you can click the that's 10,000. Okay. So I'm trying to see here. Does if the vehicle count has any effect on the charge button? Because the expenses incurred amount that we put in is together for all the vehicles combined, right? In that particular category. So I'm assuming that
yes, that will definitely have an impact on the charge per ton. Here, what I'm doing is I have just hard coded these values for the sake of simplicity.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, got it. That is yeah.
Okay. But in the actual project that I did, that has a lot of other features and input parameters which I have not shown here.
Understood.
And the toughest part about this project is not really the goal seek part, but rather estimating these expenses for the fleet. Yeah.
Sai, by the way, like, how did you manage to get that expense? Did you go to any showroom or like online?
So some of it was online and some of it was from my client. So for example, EMI, insurance, premium, all India permit. So these sort of things you can get online. For the maintenance costs, right? For even here, I think tire battery costs, you can get it online. For certain specific spare parts or those things, you might have to get some specialized kind of information. Fuel, I think it's readily available. Fuel based on mileage, that is also not a problem. Driver salary, cleaner salary, so these will be given by the company. And trailer fabrication, you go to some website like India Mart, a lot of people over there issue quotes for this sort of thing. The office costs comes from the company.
Even variable cost you can include toll charges.
Yes.